adult children, and that you joined the convent so late in life? She says, it was. But she said, the greatest blessing for me was that I was able to live out what God had given me, and the gift and the treasure was there. She said the difficult part was for her children. And even though it was difficult, she got joy from the memories and the life she had spent with her children, and now had the opportunity to spend with a grandchild, but yet go on to become a religious sister in a convent. That's the kind of joy we have to tap into when we see difficult things and difficult circumstances. This is the joy and the wisdom that Solomon and Jesus so speaks of today. We have to understand that Solomon indeed asked God for understanding or wisdom, if you will, so that he may know what is right, he said. And Solomon's very life was a gift. It was a gift of opportunity, not just for Solomon to live out his full potential, but for the benefit of all, that Solomon's wisdom would reach the people when he judged them, when he guided them, and when he led them. Solomon's wisdom was a wisdom and understanding of the heart. It was a wisdom to do and become what he most desired in himself, the gift that God had given him. It was a wisdom and an understanding that had value to it and would bring to the people of God the gifts they longed for each time he would serve them. How many times have you asked God for understanding, or asked God for long life, for riches, or even for the life of your enemy? When our prayer, our petition comes for wisdom, we should all ask of God's understanding so that we have an understanding heart, not just wisdom of the mind. I would like to suggest to you that this has a value in it that is immeasurable. It also has a cost. It has a cost to those of us who desire it. It has an indescribable gift once we recognize the joy, and especially after overcoming loss or pain. You know, this country is experiencing loss and pain at the death of Congressman John Lewis. But we have the joy of a man who gave his life for civil rights, voting rights, and human rights. So today, all around the country, especially in Selma, as he crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge one more time, as they brought his body, I could only think about the joy. I can vote. I can exercise my rights. I can be considered a full human being, because segregation did not allow us to revert back into a modern day enslavement. This is the kind of joy that wisdom will give you and an understanding will give you even at the time of death. As we continue to pray over the scriptures, we see that Solomon's history leads us into the gospel for today. As Jesus comes to the parable, we've been hearing for weeks his take on the kingdom of heaven. And I want to suggest that Jesus changes his perspectives a little bit to give us the opportunity to do active thinking. You see, now instead of describing the kingdom's uncontrollable enthusiasm, he talks about its value and what its costs to those who desire it. What we desire is oftentimes complicated or just a little bit tricky. That's the kind of joy I'm waiting on. When I'm a little boy standing at the altar as an altar server, longing to be a priest, and today I stand in that joy, despite what a virus may bring, despite what racial injustice I have had to endure, despite whatever my aging body is going through, I still have joy in who I am, in my priesthood. What joys can you identify in the gifts that God has given you? Will you be like Solomon and pray for a joyful understanding of the heart so you can be of service to God's people? This is the motivation in Jesus' teachings to the scribes. In the second case, we're dealing with an expert, someone who knows the pearls and comes upon one that is absolutely incomparable to others. He's willing to give up everything else for this one pearl. These stories describe a gift of discipleship, what it's worth and what it's cost is what defines discipleship. Jesus never hid the truth that following him is an all or nothing deal that will cost us our very lives. But the second ingredient in the story is also joy, just like the story of Solomon. The treasure finder and the pearl merchant were anxious to give up their possessions they had. They relished them, they enjoyed them, but they even went a little bit further because they discovered something more valuable than everything they had acquired or accomplished in life. When we see these contemporary parallels in peoples who have been motivated to help others, we have to see them. First responders of our day in this pandemic world, a doctor who leaves his family at home to go and serve and walk towards death. We see the nurses and the first responders and the essential workers who are not afraid. Yes, the mask will keep them safe, but there's not enough personal protective equipment to go around, but they're still there. Sometimes 18 and 20-hour shifts. For them, they find lasting joy amidst the complicated environment. See, it can get real complicated or tricky, if you will, just like the stories that Jesus tells. May we seek wisdom and faithfulness, lest we waste our time asking for long life, asking for knowledge in books. Yes, these things are important, but Jesus tells us there is nothing more important to us to be able to serve the people of God than an understanding heart that will bring us joy. This is the message of today. These times are challenging, and all of us face the question of truth in our lives. What is our truth in this day and age? What will our truth be when this virus is gone? But there are other truths that people face that we must not forget. People are dying alone. Hurricanes are in Hawaii and Texas. But there's still joy because Mother Nature is going on with creation. Lives are spared. There's still joy because we can gather today as a community in the fullness that God intended for us. God may not appear to us in a dream like the days of old, but our contemporary modern experiences can give us a vivid reminder that life and the life we have received is God's gift of the opportunity to fulfill our potential, just as Solomon fulfilled his. Life is for us to be the kingdom of heaven here on earth, just as Jesus preached to the scribes. We can do and become what we most desire, despite of, in spite of. And when we find those things that are most precious than any other, may we have the wisdom of heart to know that that thing is Jesus Christ. We must come to know it. We must come to know him. We must come to value it. We must come to value him in a way like we've never before, post-COVID-19. At what cost are we willing to do it? For those of us who desire it, and then see and be open to recognizing the joy that an understanding heart will endure for us forever in this world and the next. May you taste that joy in the Eucharist this morning as we receive Jesus Christ from this table of the Eucharist.